time for a chat with Pat.
All righty. And today our guest was supposed to be Deacon Michael Bickerstaff. There's an article he wrote, just a very short little blog, on will you cast off the darkness? And guys, I would, feel free to jump in here as
Well,
about
as soon as I heard the title of this, I wanted to see where he was going to go with this. What is this article pertaining to?
Exactly. So he starts with this quote, "What is God saying to you today? Am I taking the time to spend in prayer with the Lord so that I can better recognize his voice?" And then he goes to that Romans passage. Besides this, you know what hour it is, how it is full time now for you to wake from your sleep. For salvation is nearer to us now than when we first believed. The night is far gone, the day is at hand. Let us then cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. So I think where he's going with this, which is an interesting concept, he's obviously talking about grace here, right? That the idea is that it's his grace that saves us, right? That and that he has been with us all the time. But one of the things that I like the way he put it, he talked about that it is his grace that turns us to him. And he said the very first time our hearts turned toward the Lord was in response to his gracious invitation to us. The church calls this prevenient grace. Prevenient grace. I've never heard that term before, I must admit. But it is this idea of turning to the Lord. And he says every time God enters our minds without us making a sitting down to actually pray, where we're trying to focus on the Lord, but anytime throughout the day that the Lord enters our mind, this is the Lord's doing, and this is his grace. And he talks about St. John of the Cross, that there are moments where your thoughts turn to God without really doing anything on our part. And he said that is God placing the thought in us. And this is the line I love, or rather that God is passing close by to us. Isn't that a great line?
Yeah.
That when the Lord, when throughout the day, when I just, turn to the Lord, that he pops into my head and I may bring something to him, he is passing by close to me. I love that, because we have all those visuals of the Old Testament, right? Walking with Adam and Eve in the garden, and, that the Lord is present. And so when he comes into our minds, over and above, obviously, when we sit for prayer, that this is him passing by us. And so he's trying to get us to understand in this blog, obviously, that the grace of God just works in our lives if we open ourselves up to it and embrace it. And that's really what it means to live in Christ. We always say, well, we're all called to live in Christ. Well, a lot of people don't know what that means. What do you mean, live in Christ, right? But it is that sense that we say yes to this grace of God and we let it lead us. And that kind of goes, what you were talking about in Word for the Day, Dave, is that idea of letting yourself be led and open, right? That deep trust that it takes. And that's a hard thing to do.
Well, and I would say this too, because people will say to me, why did the Lord choose me out of everyone? Why didn't he choose my brother? Why didn't he choose my sister? I said he did. He chose us all. And he passes closely by all of us.
Yes.
We have to respond. You said yes. Thanks be to God. You said yes. It's God's will, by the way, that your brother, that your sister, that the others say yes when he passes closely by too, but they have free will. So it's not like he gives some people an opportunity and others he just sets aside. No, he's passing by. We need to be, as you said, Pat, in that habit of one recognizing his presence and then being ready to say yes.
Yeah, and I think this whole idea of grace, we just continue to think we've got to do everything under our own power.
Right. Yeah.
And I know, we've talked about this in regards to, Erica Kirk forgiving Charlie's murderer, the guy who murdered Charlie. And I keep saying to people, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You cannot do it under your own power. It is impossible. You have to ask for the grace of God, and you need to keep asking for the grace of God. It's not a one and done thing, you know. You just keep bringing it back, and when those feelings of revenge or getting even or whatever start to sink in, because Satan is going to keep at you.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, well, they forgave, so I'm going to, we're done with that one. Oh, no. He's going to keep reminding you about what this person did to you. And you've got to keep bringing it back to the well of grace and keep drinking from the well of grace. And sooner or later, it will go. It will be gone. But again, it's all about opening yourself up. So if you're going to cast off the darkness, the only way you can really do that is to open yourself to the grace of God and to give it totally to the Lord. Surrender your life. And that is really, really hard. But it's never too late to do that kind of stuff. So that idea, right, of what is God saying to you today? Am I taking time to spend in prayer with the Lord so that I can better recognize his voice? So I know when the Lord is closely passing by. It's all intertwined, and we've got to be about that. And it takes us back to our saint too, right? The cross stands firm, And so if we turn to the cross and turn to the grace that it gives us, we can stand firm, and we will, no matter what comes our way.
I love it. And look, to know how the Lord speaks to you and to know his voice. I used to often say, not every night, but with some regularity, when the boys would wake up, I'd say, what did the Lord say to you last night? He was speaking to you. He's speaking to you this morning. What did he say to you? Just to begin to become accustomed to having that conversation with the Lord.
Right. Very true. And that's a hard thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
It takes time.
Oh,
It takes
yeah.
a lot
To discern
of time.
that voice from all others takes a little bit of quiet and patience.